Hello, readers. Welcome to reading class with me, Miss Taylor. I'm glad you're here. So let's see, are we ready to read? Do we have our textbook? And we're in our textbook with the cheetahs on the front. Do we have a bookmark or a finger to follow along? Do we have our workbook? Got my workbook here. Oh, and our workbook for right now is a packet. So we need to have our packet. And I've got my packet here. All right, and a pencil. Remember to track with your finger. We're going to read each word carefully, pay attention to end marks, and also make sure that you are on a nice flat surface where you can put your book down. I have my book on my desk right here, and I'm sitting in a nice comfortable chair. So if you are not comfortable or if you don't have a flat area, you might want to pause the video and go to a nice area where it's flat and comfortable. All right, some of our goals for today, we're going to read with accuracy and expression. We're going to understand what's happening in the story. We're going to make connections to how characters are feeling, and we're going to enjoy the story. All right, we know that reading is thinking. There are so many things that are going on in our brains as we are reading, and so we just want to continually think about that and be aware of it. That makes us stronger readers if we're always thinking about our thinking and we're becoming aware of all the awesome things that are going on as we read. All right, we have a vocabulary sentence that we're going to review for today. It says, the scuba diver and her partner surfaced near the reef. And here in our picture, we have a little scuba diver, and there is a picture of a scuba diver in water, and there is a reef, kind of this underwater ridge. All right. So the scuba diver and her partner surfaced near the reef. Oh, and it looks like Miss Taylor forgot to underline reef again. I think I did that last time. All right, so let's see. I'm going to say part of the sentence. You see if you can finish it. The scuba diver and her partner surfaced near the reef. Nice job. The scuba diver and her partner surfaced near the reef. Nice job. All right. So let's see. We are going to finish our story about Darla and Julie. But before we do that, we have some facts that we're going to learn about our next story. So our next story is about the Iditarod sled dog race. And that is a really fun story. So the Iditarod is this sled dog race that takes place every year in Alaska. And so it's a really interesting story. So we're going to read some facts about the Iditarod, and then we're going to finish our story about Darla and Julie and the trip to the water's surface. So before we get to our story, we have our word lists. So if you would please join me, I am on page 91. Yeah, page 91, but we are on lesson number 89. All right. So the first word we have for today is Denali. What word? Yeah. Denali is the name of a huge mountain in Alaska. Mount Denali. Have you heard of that before? It's also the name of a character that we're going to read about. So in our next story, there's a character named Denali. All right. Word 2 is Nick. So that KN, ooh, that's a multiple letter phonogram. KN is N, 2-letter N, used only at the beginning of English words. So that KNIK, we pronounce that Nick. What word? Nick. Yes. Nick is the name of a town in Alaska. Word 3 is honor. What word? Honor. Honor is kind of like you tell the truth and you act with integrity and you have honor. You do the right thing. You have honor. Word 4 is command. What word? Command. Word 5 is veterinarian. What word? Word 6 is thorough. What word? Yeah, if you do something well and you don't overlook things, you do them very well, and step by step, you do it in a thorough way, like carefully. Do your work thoroughly. You do a thorough job. You do really nice, careful work, and you do all the steps, and you don't forget anything. All right, let's read those the fast way. Denali, Nick, honor, command, veterinarian, thorough. Nice job. All right, column 2, we're going to do column 2 the fast way. We've already learned most of these words. Musher. Oh, and that word, second graders, is musher. Sometimes when we see that word, we want to say mush, like you mush. You might mush up your food if you were like trying to feed a young child or like a baby, that mush. But that word is actually musher, musher. But if you do say musher when we're reading the story, that's okay. But that word is musher. All right. Oh, and a musher is a person who drives a sled dog team, kind of like the driver in the sled dog team, except they don't have a steering wheel. They have kind of reins or ropes that they help, and they hold on to. The dogs are actually in front of the driver. So we'll learn more about that. But the musher is the person who's in the sled, who is the driver, kind of the person in charge, is the musher. So that word musher. Argument, grasping, bodies, married. All right, nice job. Column 3, let's see, the first part is underlined. Word 1, that first part is over, and the second part is come, so overcome. Yeah, and if you overcome a problem, you solve it. So another way of saying she solved her fear of water, she overcame her fear of water. So if you overcome something, you conquer your fear, you're able to do it. You're able to solve a problem. You've overcome the problem. All right. Word 2 is anchorage. Anchorage. What word? And Anchorage is a city in Alaska. All right. Word 3, 14. Word 4, pinched. And word 5, examination. Nice job. And our last column here, let me see if I can scoop my picture out of the way here. Word 1 is Nome. What word? Yeah, Nome is a very small city in Alaska. So where's Nome? Yeah, in Alaska. Word 2 is white-capped. Nice job. A white-capped wave is a wave with white foam on the top. So a white-capped wave has white foam on the top. It's capped with white. All right, word 3 is traded. What word? Word 4 is Iditarod. What word? Yeah, it's kind of a hard word to say. Iditarod. You say it 3 times. Iditarod, Iditarod, Iditarod. Nice job. Okay, word 5 is fresh. And word 6 is locker. Nice job. All right, so here we have our map that is in our story on lesson 89. And so we are going to get ready to read here. Let's see. Here we go. Facts about the Iditarod. So get your fingers ready. We're going to track along here. We're going to track. So you're going to read the last story about Darla. So we're going to read the last story about Darla. But first we have an information passage. This is a nonfiction passage. Nonfiction means information. And real, true stuff. It gives some facts about the Iditarod. So everybody, what's the title? Facts about the Iditarod. Nice job. Every year in early March, a great sled dog race starts in Anchorage, Alaska, and ends in Nome, Alaska. That's a distance of more than 1,100 miles. The map shows the route of the Iditarod. So here we can see, here is the route of the Iditarod, and we can kind of see even just from the arrows here that this must be where it starts because the arrows are going this way, and they're going this way, and then they finally end up here in Nome. But this whole area is Alaska. All right. Oh, and where it starts, this city in Anchorage is a big city with thousands of people. So this is a large city that where it starts, and Nome is a very small city, not many people up there. All right. The people who enter the Iditarod race are called mushers. A musher is a person who drives a team of sled dogs. The musher usually stands at the back of the sled and shouts commands to the dogs. So he or she tells the dogs what to do. So everybody, what do we call the person who drives the sled? Yeah, a musher. And where does the musher usually stand? At the back of the sled. Yep. And the musher kind of shouts or yells out commands to the dogs. The dogs pull the sled. Some sleds have as many as 16 dogs pulling it. I should change the picture. There we go. So you can see some of the sled dogs in the picture here. So some sleds have as many as 16 dogs pulling it. Some sleds have only 12 or 14 dogs. The picture shows a sled in action. All right, so everyone, you can see the musher. So here's the musher. And there's the sled. So the sled is here, and then the musher is in the back of the sled. And raise your hand when you know how many dogs are pulling the sled. You count them. How many? Yeah, in this picture, 14 dogs. The race from Anchorage to Nome takes about 10 days. Sometimes it takes longer. If the weather is very bad, the musher who wins the race may be on the Iditarod Trail for 11 days. Even if the winning sled gets to Nome in 11 days, the sled travels about 100 miles per day. Interesting. So that is just a little bit of information about the Iditarod. So in our next story, we get to learn more about the Iditarod sled dog race. All right, so everybody, let's take a look at part C in our textbooks. And part C is the trip to the water's surface. All right, everybody, what's the title? The trip to the water's surface. So right now we are on page 93 in our textbooks. All right. Fingers ready. 3 times Darla signaled her sister to let go of the air hose, but Julie was grasping the air hose with both hands and breathing. Darla was starting to panic now. Ooh. So why is she panicking? Yeah, she's almost out of air. And everybody, did Julie know what she was really doing? No. Darla was running out of air. She pinched Julie's hand and pointed to the air hose. Ooh, so she's trying to get Julie's attention. Suddenly, Julie's eyes changed. They had been wide and wild. Now they moved toward Darla. Julie took a deep breath and then handed the air hose to Darla just in time. Whew. So just in time for Darla to get some air, right? So everybody, now does Julie kind of understand what's happening? Yeah, we can tell because it said her eyes were kind of like wide and wild, and now she's kind of back to normal, and she understands, oh, I gotta give some air to my sister. Darla took a couple of breaths of fresh air, took another deep breath, and handed the hose back to Julie. Oops, Miss Taylor's lights went out. Okay. Darla and Julie traded the air hose back and forth a couple of times. Julie seemed all right now. As she was taking a couple of breaths, Darla pointed up. What do you think she's trying to signal to her sister? Yeah, that they should go up. Together, the girls moved up slowly. That's good, because remember, if they go too quickly, they could get the bends. Darla could feel the difference in pressure as she moved up. All right, so they were moving up. So what's happening to the pressure on them? Yeah, it's getting less and less. As they go up, the pressure gets less and less. Darla's mask was not pressing against her face as hard, and her ears did not have the ringing sound they had when she had been 100 feet down. So remember, they were 100 feet down. There's a lot of pressure, and her ears were ringing, and her face mask was pressing against her face and feeling very tight. The girls continued to move up until they were 10 feet below the surface. Then they stopped. They would have to stay here for 1 minute until their bodies got used to the lower pressure. It seems like a very prudent thing to do, right? So they stopped, and so they allowed their bodies to get used to the difference in pressure. So now they're 10 feet below the surface, and they're going to stay there for 1 minute. Darla kept looking at her watch as she and Julie took turns using the air hose. The 1 minute seemed to take 1 hour. Yeah, they're going up and up, and they're like, no, we should stop here. And then they're just kind of stopping. It's pretty silent with their air hose. They're trading the air hoses, and they're waiting for 1 minute. It would seem like a long time. They probably were anxious to get to the top. Does that ever happen to you if you're like anxious or excited about something, about getting, and you're like, oh, this is taking forever? Me too. At last, Darla's watch told her that they could move up again. She signaled her sister that they could go the rest of the way to the surface. Up, up, through the clouds of bubbles. Up, all the way to the surface. As soon as Darla surfaced, she noticed the sounds of birds and the splashing of water. Julie came up right beside her. Julie pushed her mask back onto her forehead. Wow, she shouted. We made it. Darla smiled as she pushed her mask back. Yeah, she said. Yeah. Probably feeling very relieved, right? Julie swam over and kissed Darla on the cheek. Thanks, she said. Darla hugged her sister. That was sweet. They've helped each other, right? And they're just relieved that they're both okay. They're both safe. In the distance, the diving boat was moving toward them, making a row of white-capped waves. The girls waved and shouted, "Over here!" Before the boat reached the girls, Julie said, "Well, I guess you're the brave one. When I lost my air, I couldn't think. I just panicked." "Well, I would have done the same thing," Darla said. "I was scared to death." Julie replied, "I'm sure glad you stopped me. I guess I didn't know what I was doing. I just had to have air." So yeah, when you're running out of air, like Julie was, it kind of makes sense that you would start to panic and forget about, you have to, kind of be calm, and after you get air, you have to go slowly up to the surface. Suddenly, Darla realized that she was brave. She remembered how she had felt when she and her sister were slowly returning to the surface. The wait had seemed like a long, long time, but Darla hadn't felt panic. She looked at her sister and said, "Yeah, I guess I overcame my fear of water." She solved her problem. She kind of conquered her fears. So by doing something that was really hard for her to do, she overcame her fear. And then we have some little dots in the story. So this says part of the story is missing. All right. So see if you can figure out what is happening in the next part. Darla walked into the locker room next to the swimming pool. She changed into her swimming suit. Then she walked through the hallway to the swimming pool. A group of people was gathered at the shallow end of the pool. Darla walked to the other end of the pool where the scuba gear was laid out. She picked up a pair of fins and a mask. Then she checked one of the air tanks to make sure that it was filled. So she's at a swimming pool and she's got some scuba diving gear. She carried the fins and the mask as she walked toward the group of people at the shallow end of the pool. As she approached the group, she said, "Hello, I'm Darla Jackson, and I'm going to be your scuba diving instructor." Hey, so what's happening now? She's in a pool. She's picked up some scuba gear, and she's telling a group of people that she is going to be their scuba diving instructor. Wow, so this must be later, some time has passed. Darla has probably gotten lots more practice with scuba diving, and now she is a scuba diving instructor. Wow. All right, second graders. So what I'm going to have you do is read the rest of the story on your own. And for this time, I'm going to have you read the rest of the story on your own, and then I'm going to ask you a few questions. So get ready to answer a few questions. If you would like to pause the video, you can, or you can just read right now. If you're still reading, please pause the video. All right, so second graders, as Darla talked to the group, what did she remember? Yeah, she remembered the first time she dove down 100 feet. And everybody, was that the last time she had gone that deep? No. How deep had she gone since then? Yeah, 130 feet deep. And name 2 oceans that she had been diving in with her sister. The Atlantic and the Pacific. Wow. And what did she tell the students who had a great fear of water? Yeah, she told them that they could overcome their fear. And did she know what she was talking about when she was telling them that they could overcome their fear? Yeah, because she had done that, right? She had experienced that. So awesome. Great job, Darla. So maybe you can think about, oh, is there a time that I have had a great fear of something? Or maybe there's something that you're still kind of afraid of, which is very normal. We're all kind of afraid of certain things. And think about, is that something that I would like to try to overcome your fear? All right. So second graders, that is the end of our story about Darla and Carla. Darla and Julie. And then next time we're going to read a new story about the Iditarod. But before we do that, well, we have a test also. Sorry, we have a test next time. And then after that, we'll start our story about the Iditarod sled dog race. But your homework for today is lesson 89 in your packet. So remember, we're not doing the whole next book. So we have a packet that we're working on, and we are doing lesson 89 today. And lesson 89, it starts by asking you a few questions about the Iditarod sled dog race that we read at the beginning. Just make sure when you're writing your answers that you have capital letters. These are proper nouns. Did you notice? I want to tell you, I want to let you see all the answers. But like this first one, it says, in what state is the Iditarod sled dog race? It's in Alaska. Alaska is the name of a state. It needs a capital A. Number 2, in which city does it begin? It begins in Anchorage. That also needs a capital letter. It's proper. It's a proper noun. It's the name of a specific place, one city, Anchorage. There are no complete sentences for today unless you want to. And then when you get to this page, this is kind of a crossword puzzle. And how you do that is it has some clues for us over here to the side, and then we try to fill them in. So we fill in either across or down. So I just wanted to show you a couple of these because a couple of them are from the story that we skipped. So I'll kind of take a picture so you can see the ones that we skipped. But because I think the rest of this is kind of fun to do, and I'd like you to try it. Number 2 across says, another word for teacher is... And then up here at the top, we have kind of our word bank, and these are where we're going to choose our words from. Another word for a teacher is an instructor. So what we can do is see, would that fit here? And I kind of already did this one for us. I checked to see how many letters are in instructor and would it fit. Each box gets 1 letter. So that's instructor. And we're going to write it across because all of these clues, we're going to write all of these across. Like number 2, when you solve a problem, you blank the problem. When you solve a problem, And let's see, number 4 across, what was here? We have to find the number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 letters. You see a word that means when you solve a problem? Yeah, you overcome the problem. So I can see the word overcome is here. And then I'm just going to write it in the box across for number 4 across. You overcome. Just like that. So that's what that would look like. And, oh, let's try one more. So number 6 across says a brake you use if the regular brake doesn't work is called an brake. And I think this also might have been from the story we skipped. That is called an emergency brake. You can ask an adult at your house if they could tell you more about. Most cars have an emergency brake. I think all cars do, actually. So number 6 across, is that right here? Yeah, emergency. So we're going to write the word emergency. Now on the other side, all of these clues are going to be written down. So number 1 says, when you do very well at something, you have, oh, and that word, and this is from a story we skipped, is success. And so number 1 down is right here. And then I'm going to write the word success, and it should match up. So like the letters should all match up. So let me just show you that quickly. S-U-C-C-E-S-S, and that word is in the box. It's right here, the word success, and then I wrote it down this way. So like I said, I will take a picture of mine to help you, but your homework for today is pages 35 and 36, lesson 89 in your packet. And let's see, you are going to reread the story one more time on your own, answer the questions at the end of the story, complete your workbook, and then, of course, read for 20 more minutes a book of your choice. Have a wonderful day, readers, and I will see you again soon. Oh, and remember, we have a test next time. So that will be on, oh, that will be tomorrow. We have a test tomorrow. Okay, I think we're ready. All right, have a great day, scholars. Bye.